Right, we're joined with Steve, a Next Step Careers Advisor. Firstly, welcome along to the show.
Thank you, Daniel.
I was wondering if you could start us off by telling us what is Next Step?
Yeah, sure, of course. Next Step, it's Adults Careers Service, and it offers free and impartial careers advice, both online, over the telephone, on 0800 100 900, and also you can see an advisor face to face, which is a large part of what I do.
Who can benefit from Next Step?
Okay. Well, Next Step, it's available to all adults in England. They need to be age 19 or over, or indeed if they're 18 and a Job Centre Plus customer, they can access the service. And whatever their qualification, skill level or employment status, we can help advise clients to fuel their potential and progress both in the world of work and also in terms of skills acquisition as well.
We are talking to Steve. He's a Next Step Careers Advisor here at the Monday Night Community Show on BRFM. We're joined back with Steve. He's a Careers Advisor at Next Step. Steve, what does a Next Step Careers Advisor do?
Okay, what I do, I provide advice and support to help adults in terms of their progression, either in terms of gaining new skills and also particularly to help them to progress back into work should they be unemployed. I can also see clients who are already employed and help them to progress or to change career, but I must confess most of my clients are trying to get back into the workplace. Now, what can this entail? I mean, this can typically include advice about developing a CV, helping them search for courses, identifying any funding that might be available out there to help them learn, but also helping to identify people, see where their skills are and what type of career they might be best suited to. There's a really good resource on the Next Step website which enables the client to identify their skills and abilities, and it's called the Skills Health Check. I can work with them to guide them through that process and then help them interpret the results and ideally open their eyes to their potential for the kind of careers they might be able to move into, which before they'd met with me they had no idea that this was available to them. I must confess, a big part of what I do is about motivation. It's about looking at barriers that people might believe that they've got and helping them to see that there are actually ways around those barriers, either perhaps through acquiring new skills through learning, or even in terms of simply being unable to recognise the skills and the abilities that they've got. And I do that, I just listen sometimes. A big part of what I do is to listen and then to reflect back what they're telling me and to help individuals realise that there's something they can in fact do and they can go for it and can believe that they can achieve that. And quite often the comments and feedback I get at the end of my sessions with clients is very much one of, thank you, you've really encouraged me, you've given me a new sense of confidence, a new sense of direction, and that's why I do it, to help people to progress, to believe in themselves and to move forward and realise what they can achieve.
How long has the Next Step service been around, Steve?
Yeah, the Next Step service, it was launched in August 2010, so it's quite a new service. But since it's been launched, we've already helped over 250,000 people look at their options, prepare for their futures and progress.
Steve, have you got any examples of what you do?
Yeah, sure. I mean, inevitably every session, every person that I see has a different story to tell. But there's one particular story that springs to mind which to me epitomises what we do and how we can help people. I was in a local job centre recently and notified beforehand by the job centre advisor that I was going to be seeing a young lad who was particularly angry and felt very much let down by the system. He'd had a nice little job and he'd left it in good faith, being promised another job to move on to, and discovered that in fact it wasn't available for him, and suddenly he found himself unemployed. And when I saw him, yes, he was angry, and understandably so, but he'd just been notified that he had the opportunity to apply through the job centre for a work placement, an 8-week work placement, which was a really exciting opportunity. But when we first discussed it, he was quite negative, and understandably, because he felt, well, here we go again, I'm going to get let down again. But instead we sat down and we started to prepare this individual for the interview process by talking about his skills and recognising how those skills gained in one particular setting might be transferred into this new setting. We ran through presentation skills, how he should answer difficult questions, and by the end of the session he changed visibly from someone who was angry and a bit resentful into someone who really was literally pumped up and ready for that interview. So armed with the information that I'd given him, we'd been on the internet and helped him prepare some questions about the company. he was going to work for potentially, he set off with his spring in his step. And I have to say, I was absolutely thrilled when about an hour or so later I heard from the job centre advisor who'd been working with him as well, that he had indeed been successful and secured that work placement. And that's what it's all about, helping people to help themselves and to realise their potential and achieve. And I was delighted, I must confess.
We are talking to Steve, a Next Step Careers Advisor here at BRFM on the Monday Night Community Show. We're talking to Steve, a Next Step Careers Advisor here at the Monday Night Community Show. Steve, what can people do to help themselves when applying for a job?
Yeah, I mean, when I see individuals, quite often when I ask them that first question of what they're trying to achieve, what's their goal, inevitably they'll say, I want a job. And I say, well, what kind of job? And they'll say, anything. I think, and that's something that I often need to work on with a client, that these days they really need to avoid making haphazard applications and think more about specific areas where the skills and experience that they've got can be equally applicable, what we call transferable skills. And then finding ways of communicating this effectively to prospective employers. I mean, one obvious way of being able to achieve that is to put together a really targeted, functional CV, so that the individual stands a much better chance of being identified during the selection process and called in for interview. I spend a lot of time with clients working through the structure of the CV, so it really does target their skills, their abilities, their experience on the particular job that they're applying for, so that the employer, in one sense, you're trying to make it easy for the employer to say, well, yes, I want to see this person for interview because he or she is ticking all the boxes. They're telling me exactly what I need to know in the right order, in a concise and professional way. So a big part of what I do is helping explain to an individual how best to present their skills and abilities in a targeted way on a CV. In terms of the job search itself, I mean, in addition to responding to adverts as they see on the internet, on the local papers, etc., I also encourage individuals to network. Talk to people who are already in work, looking for potential opportunities. Be proactive. Write speculative applications direct to employers. Look at the local press, the local business pages. You might see an article about a particular company that's won a contract or achieved something of note. Write to them. Say that you were impressed by what you saw in the paper, that you'd love to be part of a successful team. Try to find out too who you're writing to. Don't just say, dear sir, madam. Go on the internet, take the time to identify the named individual and write to that person, because that will make you stand out. It's a very, very competitive market out there. There are jobs, but there are a lot of people going for those jobs. So what I try to encourage people to do is to use their initiative and to use every opportunity to get out there. Quite often in that way you can uncover roles which hitherto weren't known about or weren't advertised. I mean, I've heard many different statistics on this point, but sometimes as many as 30–40% of the jobs in a particular sector are never advertised. They're fulfilled by people being in the right place at the right time, or through the networks that they've established and worked up for themselves. And all of this and more is what the Next Step Advisor can give advice on, to help the client make the best of their skills and their abilities, to motivate them with a clear, coherent plan of action to take those next steps towards getting that job or progressing with a different career, or even in the career they've already got. That's what we're about, helping people to help themselves.
Steve, how can people access the service here on the island?
Well, the first thing they can do is ring the free phone number 0800 100 900. And for those individuals who are registered with the local job centre in Sheerness, they can also ask their job centre advisor for a referral. I'm at the Sheerness Job Centre every Tuesday, and I can offer client 2-minute sessions, which is quite a good bit of time to really listen and understand what they as individuals are trying to achieve, what their work and learning goals are. And I can also, in most cases, offer those individuals a further 2 follow-up sessions of 40 minutes, so they really get a good sense of support over a period of time to enable progression.
Steve, I'd like to thank you very much for coming along and talking all about Next Step.
My pleasure.
That's Steve, a Next Step Careers Advisor here at BRFM on the Monday Night Community Show.